Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City of Toronto Committee of Adjustment Scarborough District hearing on February 10, 2022. We are going to begin our afternoon session for today's hearing. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, which is an online digital platform, and it is streamed onto the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make the presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or a tablet app. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participant will be participating by audio only. We ask that you please mute your devices until you are called on to speak. First of all, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to a property, permissions to extend, to alter, or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on any application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and an email address because Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the TLAB or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal, which is the OLT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. In terms of the hearing procedure, I will call each item in the order that it's listed on the agenda. In terms of making your submissions, where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant will proceed with the presentation if required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you're reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters that are outlined in the application. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee of the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposal at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those who are entitled to the notice of the application are informed of the changes. For all those who are making submissions today, we certainly are here to listen to your concerns. However, repeating the same comments will not advance your cause. Please limit your comments to the variances that are before and included in the application today. Individuals either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has the opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. For the afternoon session, I will repeat, we are dealing with items 19 to 27. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any deferral requests? Oh, before I do, I think I have to ask for declaration of interest. Okay. Before I do, members of the committee or staff, are there any declarations of interest Any conflict of interest? I see none. Thank you. And now over to you, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer. Do you have any requests for deferral?
Through the chair, there is one deferral for the afternoon session. It's item 2185 Ellesmere Road. It's a request for deferral sine die from the applicant to address concerns identified by community planning in their staff report.
Okay, thank you. Eric, do we have the applicant? And that would be Adrian Litowski. Adrian, you with us?
Yes, I am with you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you, Adrian. So can you confirm if you are requesting this application to be deferred?
Yes, I can confirm that.
And the purpose being?
Oh, the purpose is to work with city planning and Toronto building staff to address the concerns mentioned in the report that you should have on file. And it's really just a case of working to refine exactly the permissions required versus what is listed in the public notice currently.
Thank you very much, Adrian, for confirming. Excuse me. Members of the committee, any questions for Adrian? I see none. All right, then if there are no questions, can I please have a motion on the request for deferral of this application? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a deferral request from the applicant, confirmed by the applicant. So I move the motion for deferral of item number 21, sine die.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I second that motion to defer sine die.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried and the application has been deferred sine die. Thank you. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, just confirming any further requests for deferral?
Through the chair, there are none.
Thank you very much. We will now proceed with vetting our agenda, and I would start with the first item for the afternoon session, and that's item number 19. Item number 19 is 260 Guildwood Parkway. Members of the committee, any questions? I see none. Eric, can we please have Kevin Hughes? Hello, Kevin.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, so I am here as an agent of the owner to discuss the property at 260 Guildwood. This is the first time I've been to a committee of adjustment meeting, so forgive me for not knowing the exact procedures, but
No problem.
The situation that we're looking to do here is construct a 3-season screen room at the rear of the property.
Okay.
And we've found that we are not able to satisfy the setback from Galloway Road.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yes, we do see your application. It is one minor variance to the on the application. So we are vetting the agenda. So unless committee members have questions, or if we had registered speakers, we would have held down this item. But because there is no question or there is no registered speaker, we will check with committee if they're ready to put forward a motion on it, and we'll deal with this application. So members of the committee, any questions? If there aren't any, then can I please have a motion? And I don't see any condition here. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recommend approval of this variance. It's a very minor variance and is suitable to the property.
Thank you very much. May I have a seconder,
There are no
please?
conditions.
Member Said, please go ahead.
I second the motion for approval, and there are no conditions attached to this approval.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application for 260 Guildwood Parkway has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We now move to our next item, item 20, and I note that there are some speakers registered to speak, so I will hold down this item and come back. So item 20, which is 234 Oak Ridge Drive, is being held for further discussion. Item 22, this is 37 Andale Road. Again, we have some registered speakers on this, so I will hold down item number 22, which is 37 Andale Road, for further discussion. Item 23, 141 Greyabbey Trail. There are no registered speakers. Members of the committee, any questions? I see none, okay. Eric, can we please have Nisar Patel? Hello, Nisar, are you there?
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, Chair and the members of the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you, Nisar, for attending the meeting today. We're looking at your application. There are no conditions here. Members of the committee, any questions for Nisar? Member Said, please go ahead.
Nisar, this is an existing situation. So tell me to what percentage you have completed your the renovations already?
So some framing has been done, and so there was an order to comply on the file. This was an existing building, existing porch, and the owner was just replacing the porch and wall. Sorry, the roof and the walls. So when we went to submit the application, then after grilled by the building department, they found out there is a zoning bylaw came in effect in 2013, and there are two items which is, I think, non-conforming. So before we approve this application, you have to go through the Committee of Adjustment. So there are the two items there, which is listed in the, sorry, so go ahead.
Okay, no, I was saying, okay, so thank you for that background. So there was an order to comply, and when you came to the municipality, there were some two variances identified. Okay, does that answer your question? Member Said?
Yes, correct.
Yes, Madam Chair, and I see both the variances are minor and appropriate. And if the other members don't have any comments or question, I can go for the motion.
Please go ahead. I didn't see any hands raised. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Both the variances which are about the FSI and front yard setback, they are minor, appropriate. So I move the motion for approval of item number 23 without any conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Member
Mr. Secretary.
We are still in the motion. A seconder, please, Member Macaulay.
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, members.
Okay, we now move to item 24. It is a consent and associated minor variance application for 57 Eastville Avenue. I note that there are speakers registered to speak on this, so I will hold down this item and come back. 57 Eastville Avenue is being held for further discussion. Item number 25, 109 Magnolia Avenue. Members of the committee, any questions at this time? I see none. All right. Eric, can we have the applicant Jeff Leung? He's not there today. Can we have Raza Mutadian? Okay, the applicant. Raza, are you there with us?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Yes, my name is Reza Mutadian, and I'm from Loyalty Corporation, and I will talk on behalf of the applicants.
Okay,
If any questions.
Sure. Members of the committee, any questions for Reza? I see none. All right. Thank you, Reza. If there are no questions for Reza, I just want to make sure that we have the conditions. So Reza, you're aware of the conditions from engineering services?
Yes,
With regards to corner rounding and relocation of fence?
yes. We already addressed most of the conditions, and we were just waiting for a sign off, but because the application lapsed, so we just had to resubmit.
Okay, thank you very
So
much.
we will finalize that accordingly.
Okay. Members of the committee, this was the lapsed application. The applicant's aware of the outstanding conditions from engineering services. If there are no comments or questions, can I please have a motion? And you can either say for all the consent and minor variance application together. You can deal with it together. Member Macaulay, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe this is simply a consent application. We're dealing with Magnolia Avenue.
My
No.
apologies, you're right. You're right. It is just a consent. I was looking at the previous one. This is just a consent application.
Okay.
And it's also a lapsed consent, right? So it's a very technical.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's a consent application. He didn't meet all the conditions within his 1-year time period, and therefore has come back for us for approval. I recommend approval, subject to the conditions of engineering services and any previous conditions that were established dealing with this consent application.
Thank you. And may I please have a seconder? Member Said, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the motion. I second the motion for approval of item number 25, conditions mentioned therein.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application for 109 Magnolia has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 26 is 131 Bexel Avenue. And I note that there is a speaker registered to speak, so I will hold down this item. Item 27, 14 Natal Avenue. I note that there are speakers registered to speak, so we will hold down this item. This brings us to the end of the agenda for the afternoon session, and we have vetted the agenda. I will recap the items that have been held for further discussion. Item 19, item 22, item 24.
Through the chair, I believe item 19 was dealt with.
I didn't say item 19, I said item 20.
Oh, my apologies, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So I'm going to start again. Item 20, item 22, item 24, item 26, item 27. Okay, thank you very much. So let's start with the first item. Item 20, 234 Oakridge Drive. And can we please have Kulvinder Kaur, the applicant? Not there. Can we have Faisal Ahmad? Hello, Faisal. Faisal, you're with us? He signed in though, right? Yeah. So Faisal, we see that you have signed in, but you're not there. But we can't hear you, sorry.
Through the chair, there's also
Yes,
another
Yeah,
applicant that's registered.
yeah, so I had to check because he said he was online. I will go to the next applicant, Jimison Padiat. Jimison, you're with us?
Yes, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem. Okay.
And myself and Faisal Ahmed will be speaking on behalf of 234 Oakridge Drive for today.
So Faisal is with you then? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we have your application before us, and it is a minor variance application. We have 4 variances that we have to review, and this is to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with integral 2-car garage. Would you like to make a presentation, or would you like to go directly to the questions?
I would like to go for a short presentation, please.
Sure. You have 5 minutes, and you can proceed now.
Thank you. So good afternoon, committee members. So yeah, as you know, I'm here to speak regarding the minor variances on 234 Oakridge Drive. So as you all know, we have 4 variances. First variance is on FSI or gross per area, and other 2 variances are on height, and last 4th variance is on main wall height. So as you know, our area proposed is 333.95 meters square, where the permitted is 279 meters square. However, as we consider the FSI, our FSI would be 0.47. So, and the height that we're proposing is 9.5, and the main wall height we'll be proposing is 8.23 meters. So I would like to give a parallel analysis on the properties which are in the neighborhood. So one I would suggest to go with is 188 Phyllis Avenue, and other one is 128 Phyllis Avenue. So all the three, including 234 Oak Ridge, all the three of them share the same FSI clause or exception number 1462. So looking more into the zone for the 234 Oak Ridge type, it's RDF 15A557 with the exception of 187, which is having a prevailing bylaw of 900.3.10, which is referring to the exception number 1462, which come down to the FSI or gross floor area regulation. And all the three, 234 Oak Ridge Drive, 188 Phyllis, and 128 Phyllis, all the three projects share the same FSI regulation number 1462. So with all these 270, so all this come down to a 279 meter square permitted gross floor area. So whereas in 188 Phyllis, which is approved by Committee of Adjustment, they have proposed a floor area of 345.5 meters square, which is 0.495 considering the FSI, which is greater than what we have proposed for 234 Oak Ridge with an area of 333.95 meters square with a 0.47 FSI. So for 180 Phyllis, I repeat again, we have 0.495, and for the proposal of 234 Oak Ridge, we only have 0.47. So I would like to state that the 180 Phyllis would be approved with a much more variance than permitted, as well as much more area as we propose for 234 Oak Ridge Drive. Again, on the next two variances, which are on height, 9.5 meter, which is permitted and approved on 188 Phyllis, which is same that we propose for 234 Oak Ridge Drive. Again, on 188 Phyllis, coming back to 188 Phyllis, the main wall height allowed and approved, allowed was 7 and approved was 8.29 meters, where our proposed 234 Oak Ridge is 8.23, which is 0.06 more than what we have proposed. And coming back to 128 Phyllis Avenue, the gross floor area that approved and proposed is 331.99 meters square, which is very similar to what we have proposed for 234 Oak Ridge Drive. So I would request the committee members, since we have such a project or an address which have approved by the Committee of Adjustment, which is way more than what we proposed, or very similar to our proposal. So I believe we are still in the character of the neighborhood. And apart from that, we actually read into the objection letters and we came to know that they have some confusions and some unintentional confusion occur on that. So I would like to stress on that also. So based on the support letter, we have the client has tried to reach out to many people, as total 35 people. If apart from on this 35 people, 23 people have no objection on the proposed dwelling. However, the rest of the people, our intention was just to showcase or express that the client had put in effort to go and knock on these people, everyone, so that we all the neighborhood have a happy ending with all this proposal, and we don't have any other objections from the neighborhood. So apart from this, there were other confusions that other names had put into the cover letters and mentioning they are not in favor, and we have commented that they are in favor. There are some misunderstanding, and we apologize for any misunderstanding. I have to stress again, there was 35 people that the client tried to contact you, and on that 23 people had no objection. And when I went to one of the objection letter, I found out that we had a mistake on the site plan where the proposed driveway.
Jimison, sorry to interrupt you, but your time's up, so I would recommend to just close your remarks, please.
Yeah, sure. So I request the committee members to look into, since we have a project which is much more than the proposed of our project. So I would request committee members and also the neighborhood to consider this application and approval on the development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jimison. Members of the committee, do we have any questions for Jimison? Any clarification? Okay, all right. So we are now going to move on to speak with our first speaker, Tanya Baksh. Tanya, you're with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Great.
Okay.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Tanya Baksh. My family and I have lived at 214 Oakridge Drive for the last 20 years. I have been asked to speak on behalf of Nick and Maria Vlahos at 236 Oakridge Drive and Ben and Jennifer Quantock at 232 Oakridge Drive. They are unable to speak today due to work obligations. Both families have submitted personal letters of objection. Nick and Maria have resided at 236 Oakridge for the last 13 years, where they're raising their 4 young children. Ben's father was the original owner of 232 Oakridge, and in 2012, Ben and his wife Jennifer took ownership and are raising their family in this home. Both families are very concerned on the impact of this development on their enjoyment of their homes with their families. As a clarification, they are not in support of this proposed development at 234 Oakridge. They strongly request that their names be removed from the letter of support that was submitted by the applicant. Would you please pull up the attachment number 2 in the neighborhood petition letter of objection, which compiles the neighbors in opposition? As you've seen with our neighborhood petition letter, there are 51 individual residents who have submitted their names on the community letter of objection. The letter includes some residents from adjoining streets. However, 29 of the 51 names on the petition are from the immediate neighborhood. The petition includes all surrounding homes to this proposed development. Would you please pull up the letter of support from the applicant? We are very disappointed with the disingenuous information provided on the applicant's letter of support submitted and posted on the AIC on January 31st. The 2 immediate neighbors, for whom I am speaking on behalf of today, were included on that letter on lines 3 and 4. Those 2 neighbors spoke to the new owner at 234 Oakridge Drive on the weekend of January 28th. They both clearly noted that they were not in support of this proposed development, as it is beyond the generous zoning bylaws and not within the prevailing built form character of the neighborhood. With all the contact that this new owner has made with neighbors, his main focus was that this new development would increase the value of our homes, as it could be worth around $2.5 million after completion. This proposed development is not creating a new home that is affordable for most families wanting to come into our lovely neighborhood. Please note that in the applicant's letter of support, there are 3 homes that are in our immediate neighborhood: 200, 217, and 222 Oakridge Drive. None of these owners reside at these homes. These homes are being used as investment properties or being demolished for development. Can you please pull up the cover letter from the applicant? A representative from CM Designers and Engineers submitted a cover letter, which was posted on the AIC on February 1st. Once again, disingenuous information was included about the owner's contact with the immediate neighbors. It was written that my husband, Camille Baksh, spoke to the owner. Please let me be clear. In reality, it was me that spoke on the phone with the person claiming to be the new owner, and I was clear that we do not support this proposed development. Prior to the submission deadline, a number of the immediate neighbors also submitted letters of objection refuting the claims of support in this cover letter. The person that identified themselves as the new owner of 234 is not the same name that is listed on the application. We are still unsure of who the new owner of this property actually is. Would you please pull up slide number 5 in the Residents Association presentation, which shows this proposed development in our neighborhood, but the variances individually and collectively do not fit the character of our neighborhood. We join our neighbors in requesting that you refuse this application. Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Any questions for Tanya? Okay, I see none. All right, can we go to our next speaker, and that would be Donna McParland. Donna.
Yes, hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Donna.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear? Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. You have 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Donna McParland. My family has lived at 63 Scarborough Heights Boulevard for the last 35 years. I am an active member of the Fifth Crest Scarborough Village Southwest Residents Association Planning and Development Committee. We are an incorporated residents association which is registered and recognized by the City of Toronto. The Residents Association is working to preserve the unique nature of our neighborhoods and does not support the application to replace the dwelling located at 234 Oakridge Drive. Could you please pull up slide 1 and 2 from the Residents Association that shows the current view of the area? Over several years, our members have seen a gradual increase in home size throughout the community. Generally, these developments and renovations have been undertaken by owners residing in their homes and have respected the general zoning and prevailing character of the neighborhood. For example, single-family homes of 1.5 to 2 stories with adequate setbacks, preserving existing mature trees. Recently, a loosely aligned consortium of developers have applied for much larger homes with little regard for potential negative impacts on the neighbors and the environment. This application is an egregious example of this growing attitude. This type of development we can and will oppose at every opportunity. Can you please pull up slide number 5 in the Residents Association presentation that shows the proposed development? I will speak to variance 1, the gross floor area, which is proposed at 333.95 square meters versus the allowed 279 square meters. This neighborhood consists mainly of bungalows to 1.5 to 2 story homes with spacious front, back, and side setbacks. As you can see from the frontal overlay, this proposed development is well out of range of the other homes in the immediate vicinity. It is not in keeping with the prevailing character of our broader neighborhood. Can you please pull up slide number 6 included in the association presentation? And this shows the GFA and FSI chart for the immediate neighborhood on Oakridge Drive. The proposed development is 54.95 square meters or 19.6% greater than the allowable floor area. As you can see from the GFA and FSI charts, this egregious proposed development is not in keeping with the prevailing character of the neighborhood. Over 85% of the homes are 1 to 1.5 story homes in the immediate vicinity and on this block of Oakridge Drive. The remaining 15% of homes are 2 story homes that are within the generous zoning guidelines. This proposed development is too large and well out of range of the 41 neighboring homes in these charts. Oakridge Drive consists of 42 homes between Rockwood Drive and Bellamy Road. The gross floor area for this block ranges from 88.82 square meters to 221.57, with an average of 111.75. The 333.95 proposed development is well above the neighborhood average and is not in keeping with the prevailing character of the neighborhood. The associated FSI ranges from 0.10 to 0.31 with an average of 0.15. The proposed FSI of 0.48 is well outside the current range, including other 2 story homes in the immediate neighborhood. This proposed development is not within the prevailing character of the homes in the immediate area as well as the extended area. The proposal represents an excessively large floor footprint while negatively impacting the abutting neighbors. This proposed new dwelling is distinctly out of character with the homes on Oakridge Drive. We welcome and support positive development in our neighborhood, but these variances in this application are not minor and are not supported by our Residents Association. This application fails to maintain the intent and purpose of official plan policy 4.1.5. This application does not represent appropriate development of this site. The requested variances are not minor. The application fails to meet the intent and purpose of zoning bylaw 569-2013. Our association supports the immediate neighbors and requests that you refuse this application. Thank you for this opportunity to address the committee.
Thank you, Donna, for speaking with us. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Donna? Okay, I see none. Well, thank you, Donna, for speaking. We are now going to go back to Jimison and Faisal and ask them to provide a response to the comments that have been raised. Jimison?
Yes, Madam Chair. Faisal Ahmed will be speaking now.
Sure.
Can you please give him access?
Okay, Faisal, Eric, can you give him access? Faisal?
Yes, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, Faisal. Please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, and respected committee members. Good afternoon.
Good.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. And I'd like to mention first, I know that already Jameson mentioned about the difference of 188 Phyllis and 126 Phyllis. 128 Phyllis. 188 Phyllis, the committee approved exactly the same variances under the same zoning. No change from the same way, because we have that saw the difference, so we went by that. And the variances actually, if you look at the four variances, proposed variances, one is the FSI. We're not. Donna spoke about. Sorry, I'll come back to that about Donna points, but I'm just trying to say that we are not proposing any extra lot coverage. We're just only 54.95 meters square more than the allowed FSI. And number 2 and number 3 is same, only 0.5 meter more than the allowed limit, which is 9.5 meter. So basically, we have three variances. One is the FSI, one is height, and other one is main front wall, which is 8.28. Now, if I come back to Donna, Donna's presentation. Thank you, Donna, for your presentation. Basically, unfortunately, I have to mention this to the committee that this presentation we can see every time we apply for any project in this community, in this neighborhood, especially on OAKRIDGE Drive, the same copied and pasted objections. I'm sorry to say that. And the same presentation, and comparing with 70 to 80 years old houses, which are on small bungalow, still they're small bungalow, and they are comparing with these small bungalow with this new developed houses. And Donna is mentioned about these variances, strongly mentioned, said that these variances are not minor. I don't know if she got any definition of minor and major variances. If she could tell us, that would be very kind and helpful for us. Because I don't know how you say that these are not minor variances. Maybe you have some different. And the other thing I'd like to highlight, I spoke to many concerned people, other officials in the city, councillors and neighbors. There is something going on in the neighborhood that is creating the hatred, and I would say, I'm sorry if this word is very strong, which is racism. We observe in many situations that there is a certain group of people, they are speaking to the neighbors very rudely, those who are supporting these developments. Very, very rude. I'm sorry, this is not part of the zoning. I understand. I'm not talk about this anymore.
Yeah,
Just
I was
let you
about to
know.
say that, Faisal. I think, and I hear you, but this may not be the right place to talk about it.
I understand. My apologies. So I should stop here about this issue. So about this, the proposed variances, I'd like to request kindly consider these variances, as we have already recently approved these exact same variances in the same neighborhood under the same zoning, what is called under the same zoning. So this is our request that you should, the committee, we believe that committee will accept and approve our proposals. Thank you very much for giving me this.
Okay, thank you, Faisal, for providing that comment. And members of the committee, do you have any questions for Faisal? Okay. Faisal, I have a question.
Sure.
Out of the four variances, the first one that you are increasing the increase in the proposed floor area. Now, you mentioned there are other similar houses, and again, this process is not about precedent setting. Something that may have been approved at one location may not necessarily be used as a precedent for this application. But I'm trying to understand, generally in that area, or within the larger neighborhood, are new developments that are coming on board are larger in area, or they are within the zoning bylaw? I know you mentioned a few, but generally overall, what are your thoughts? What's your thought?
No, this the reference we are giving. Probably this is the next door. Next road on Phyllis. And because when we do the design and when we go by the zoning bylaw, of course, we have to follow the neighborhood and we have to follow the references. That how much, because the same thing, community planning does the same thing. They come back to us and they say, you know, this neighborhood doesn't have this much. So all we have, it happened with recent projects. Today we had the hearing. So they came back to us, they said, okay, this neighborhood and under this zoning, we don't have this much. So you reduce that up to this much. Then we follow that. So that's why this is a procedure. We got it from community planning. We follow that we have to go by the neighborhood and we have to go by the approved examples close by under the same zoning, so that we are not doing something that had never been approved before.
Okay,
so that is our strong point.
So
Yeah,
you have
sorry.
worked with
Sorry.
community plan. So you have worked with community planning and you worked with their guidance on this application.
Not on this application because they didn't have any comments.
I see. Okay.
The community plan didn't have any objections or any comments on this. So we didn't need to do anything.
Okay, yeah, but I understand. Generally, the applicants work with community planning and community planning advises them and recommends if changes have to be made. Understood. Okay, thank you very much for
In
that.
this situation, they didn't have any recommendation or change.
Okay, Member Macaulay has her hand raised. Member Macaulay, go ahead.
Following up from what Faisal is saying, again, I'd like clarity, first of all, from Faisal. Is this application submitted under a zoning waiver, or has the building department reviewed it?
Under zoning waiver.
Sorry, you had
So
you had a
building
waiver?
department has reviewed it. It's not under a zoning waiver.
Sorry, second, I didn't get it, member.
This application, there's two routes. Either the building department looks at your entire application and comments on it and tells you what variances you need, or you yourself submit the application saying that I need these variances, and that's what we call a zoning waiver.
Right.
You're not asking building department to comment. And I'm not clear in this particular one whether you've had comments from building department.
No, we didn't submit for a zoning review. We did the zoning waiver because we knew exactly what are the variances we will be proposing.
Okay, that answers the
thank you.
question. That's what we wanted to know. So there was a zoning waiver put in. There's no zoning certificate. Member Macaulay, is that clear?
Right.
Zoning review, no.
Yes. Thank you. The second question I had, and this is really for staff. I don't have access to all my files here. I don't know whether staff can show us where 118 Phyllis or 128 Phyllis is in location to this 234 Oak Ridge.
So there's a location plan, and I'm just looking at it if it shows. Okay, perfect. So Katrine, where's Phyllis? Oh, there's Phyllis. Oh.
No, that's okay. Where's Phyllis?
This is Phyllis?
Oh, Phyllis is way down there.
And that's Oak Ridge.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Those are my two questions of the clarification.
Thank you, Member Macaulay. Any more questions? All right, if there are no further questions, I would like to take the matter into committee. Faisal, I'll give you 30 seconds. Closing remarks, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as I mentioned, sorry, maybe it is a little bit repetition of my previous speech, but still I'd like to focus on this, that you saw that 188 Phyllis recently you approved, which is only 400, maybe 400 meters away from this 234 Oak Ridge, and we are proposing exactly the same number of variances, same types of variances, and which is both of are under the same zoning bylaw. And again, I'd like to say that, on the other side, the owner wanted to try his best to communicate with as many neighbors as possible. He did. Maybe there was some misunderstanding or miscommunication, but at least he tried his best to communicate with all the neighbors. Many neighbors they supported, many of them he didn't get response, and some of them they supported the development, but they didn't support the variances. But at least he tried his best to communicate with all the neighbors, and we tried our best to work with the neighbors in this instance. Thank you very much.
Okay, now that's helpful. So there was an attempt made to meet with the residents and the neighbors. Not everybody agreed. Some supported the development, some didn't support the variances. There may be some misunderstanding or miscommunication on who signed and who said what. But overall, I see that there
Yes.
was an effort made to meet with the residents. Okay, thank you, Faisal.
Yes, ma'am.
I will now take the matter into committee. Committee members, we are now going to be deliberating on it. Yes, Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just comments because we are in the committee. I believe I was expecting some good rationale from the applicant giving a good justification for this development. The only rationale which is coming up is the precedent. I think it is the 188 Phillips, and that is the only rationale because there are one or two houses which are exceeding these configuration already, so that is the precedent available. But at the same time, there are 90 to 95% houses in the OAKRIDGE Drive, which are very modest bungalows, 1 floor or 1.5 floor. So perhaps while comparing it with the 3% precedent, we are forgetting about the 97% of the other bungalows there. I know the OAKRIDGE Drive is a very quiet drive. A lot of there are one-story bungalows, blended. The culture, the shape, the development is quite blended. So with that, I personally I feel that this development is going to be a massive development. It's going to stand out, which is not blending with the rest of the houses, even to quite to the next to each other. It's not going to match that. It's way out of the character of the street. So that is my opinion.
Member Said, I hear you and I respect your comment, but you realize that, yes, there are existing one-story bungalows or a story and a half, but the bylaw permits 2 stories. You know that, right? So any redevelopment that could occur would allow, as of right, 2 stories, which will be different than the prevailing character right now, but it certainly is, as of right, permitted. Okay, all right.
You are absolutely right, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you still think that this development is massive and it doesn't fit in? Okay.
I still have my comments on that. I feel this is a massive development.
Okay, fair enough. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I'm just going to comment a bit further. Yes, the majority of the houses are 1 or 1.5 story, but in this application, we're asking for an additional height, 9.5 meters in height. So we're not asking for even 2 stories, we're asking for larger. Secondly, the gross floor area is considerably larger. Yes, we're dealing with a community of fairly small, modest homes. Even to meet the zoning bylaw permissions, the new houses are going to be different. I think the question we have to determine is how much bigger are we wanting this new development to set the precedent for everything else in the area? And so the question is, should it be 9.5 meters in height and 330 meters? Or should the development that is permitted meet the existing zoning bylaw, recognizing that the houses that are generated would be somewhat larger than what's on the street?
So Member Macaulay, you mentioned about the height. So the permitted height is 9 meters. That's a permitted height in the zoning. And the request is for 9.5. So you think 0.5 meter difference, which is in Imperial 1.5 feet, is out of, in your opinion, it's like a significant increase in height?
No, I'm not going to say it's a significant increase in height. What I'm saying is, if it's insignificant, why can't he meet 9 meters?
Okay, if you park that aside and just focus on the variance, is this variance, in your opinion, this particular one, is it a minor increase, or in your opinion, it is a it's a major increase? I'm trying to understand. 1.5 feet, like I can't even, at that height, 1.5 feet disappears from the vision. Like I can't even tell the difference. But in your opinion, you're saying that it is taller. It is taller, yes, and you think it's
It is
significant.
taller.
It is taller, yes. Numerically, it's
No,
taller.
I'm not necessarily saying it is significant. What I was saying here is whatever is built here will be bigger than the neighboring houses.
Because they are
We've seen those
story,
houses.
yeah, they are
We
single
know that they
stories.
are generally a story and a half. The question comes is, whatever is built, why can it not meet the zoning standards at 9 meters? Someone set that 9-meter standard. That still gives more space to these houses. And it's not just the 9 meters. 9 meters, I agree, is 1.5 feet. How do you tell the difference? But it's also the proposed floor area. So we're getting taller and bigger than what the zoning bylaw permits. I'm already accepting that any new house in this area will be taller and bigger than the existing houses and be built in accordance with the zoning bylaw. The question is this additional space and height appropriate?
Well, that's what the variance application is for us to determine that, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, well, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm really sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm sorry.
If you would allow.
Sorry, Jamison, I can't allow you. We are in committee right now. I'm sorry. That's the protocol.
I would.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Jamison. That's not the way it works. So we have, I asked you before we closed if there were comments, and it was closed. So coming back to the committee, if there are no further comments or thoughts, or if there are, let me know. If not, then I need a motion. Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having said that in my comments, keeping in view these variances, the development is not considered to be an appropriate development for this particular area. I therefore move the motion for refusal of this application.
Okay. Can I have a seconder, please? Member McKay.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll second that motion to refuse this application.
All in favor of this motion? All opposed? The motion is carried. The application has been refused, although myself and Member Igor voted against the motion, but the motion's carried. All right, thank you. The application has been refused. Okay, we now go to our next item on the agenda. Item number 22, 37 Andale Road. Can I please have the owner, Peter James Lux?
Hi, I'm here.
Hello, Peter. Thank you for joining us. We have your application before us. And there are 12 variances that are being requested to permit a new 2-story rear addition and side addition to the existing detached dwelling, and a proposed rear yard deck and a second-floor balcony and rooftop courtyard. Okay, and I believe this was amended. This application was amended, and what you see in front of on the screen is the amended application. So, Peter, would you like to make a presentation and walk us through the revision to the variances?
Yes, I would. So, good afternoon, Madam Chair and other committee members. My name is Peter Lux, and I am the owner and agent of 37 Andale. I hope that I have addressed all the issues of concern. I did speak with Miriam Barsom. I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name, from the Committee of Adjustments, and we reviewed things and made some changes. And I hope that these will now satisfy the complaints that we have. The first one was the overall height. We had it at I'm going to say 9.9, 9.99, something around just around 10 meters. We dropped the height to 9.7 meters. The lot coverage was 42%. We've dropped that down to 40%. We removed the third-story deck completely, so that is gone. In regards to the third-story deck, we are doing another project at 31. I wonder if I can ask Katrina to pull up a satellite view while we're speaking. I did have a couple of pictures here, but obviously I'm not being shown, so I can't show those directly. So I was wondering if Katrina could pull up the satellite view of the area. 31 Lyndale Road is quite close, and 31, I'm sorry, 33 Lyndale, I'm sorry, is we've been approved there. It's been passed through Committee of Adjustments. We have a permit, so now it's being constructed. That one has a third story and a third story deck. So that's why we felt that we could try for the third story, the deck at this project. I realized that the neighbors didn't like it, so we've taken that away. This house is very unique. I've never seen one like it myself. That it's two detached houses, so 37 and 35, the neighboring property, are two detached houses, but share a semi-detached garage. Thank you. I can see she's pulled it up here now. It shares a semi-detached garage, which I think most people would agree that devalues the property, having this semi-detached garage. So that's why we have a side addition on this house, is we're going to detach the garage and add it to the house. So in essence, both properties will now be fully detached. So that's what that's one of the things we've gone through. At 31 Lyndale Park, so it's that would be 3 doors to the east. To the west. I mean, correct. 31 Lyndale's 3 doors to the west. It has a 2-story deck. Two-story deck is easily it's easily 160 to 220 square feet, and it's completely out in the back of the yard. You can see this deck from our backyard, so it does look over all the other neighbors. We do have a 2-story deck, but most of it is contained within the house. The house itself in the back, you can't actually, where you'd actually be sitting, you can't see to the left or the right. You can't look into the neighbors' properties. So we do have what I would say is a discrete 2-story deck there. Yeah, and the deck we're doing is half the size of what that current deck is right now. Right now, this one backs onto a parkette, and for all intents and purposes, there's 3 streets that back onto the park: Andale, Woodglen, and Lyndale. And on the Woodglen side, there's already a number of houses that have been converted from bungalows into 2-story buildings. One of them I actually built myself, number 16 Woodglen. And I do remember at the time having some opposition, but we were passed and able to build that.
Okay.
We have done, I myself, I live within the Hunt Club pocket, 12 Clonmore Drive, and I've lived there. This August will be for 22 years. So I'm
sorry
not
to
just a builder.
sorry to
Yep.
interrupt, but the time's up, so you may want to close your remarks,
Yep,
please.
fair enough. Yeah, basically just saying I am a builder that lives in the area. I've been here for 22 years and I've done over 20 plus houses in this Hunt Club area, and all the variances we've asked for, we've been approved for in the past. So I don't feel this is a major change. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Any questions for Peter, please? Okay, I see none. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to our first speaker. And our first speaker would be, sorry? Oh, Brian Hill? Okay, Brian Hill. Please go ahead,
Yes.
Brian.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak today. I don't necessarily agree with everything Peter has just said. We have a number of neighbors here who have signed a letter to you. I hope you've read them, because it does outline in greater detail than what I'm going to be speaking to today about. The neighbors of the 8 or so neighbors who have signed this, Peter, they've been there for over 40 years. They have a great stake in this neighborhood. And their concern is that this is a monster home going in that is going to dwarf the two closest neighbors. I'm not one next door neighbor. I'm a couple away. But the other neighbors who have signed the letter, along with Linda and Rosemary and their spouses, we're concerned about the size. It is just too large. It is approximately 60 feet deep. Our houses are approximately 30 feet deep. It has been reduced in size by a few inches, yes, but it's still roughly 10 feet taller than the houses beside it. Yes, he has reduced the size of the balcony in the backyard, but it will still, to a degree, look over the neighbors' properties. Number 35 has an incredibly beautiful garden. It was done by the Home and Garden Show on the Home and Garden Network. It is magnificent, and it is meticulously kept by them. Their enjoyment of their garden is going to be damaged by this house. It's damaged partly just by the fact that they're losing some of their privacy, but also because of the shadow this monster home is going to be putting onto their property. The other side, they're going to be losing their privacy as well. And again, we're going to have this giant wall going along the size of an apartment building or a factory or a warehouse that is going to be taking away their view and casting a considerable amount of shade on their backyard. As you can see from the pictures that Peter was showing you, there is a considerable tree canopy there now, and we can't afford to lose any more sunlight because of this. Now, a number of other of the 8 people who signed the letter that we sent to you, 3 of those houses have had additions put onto it. The neighbors never complained when those additions were made. Why? Because they were made within the rules. They did not impact adversely their neighbors' properties. This does, and greatly so. The other thing we have a concern about, now Peter said, he's a developer. He is out to make the maximum money he can make from this property. That is his investment. That is, however, we have to be mindful of the investment of the other people who live nearby. As I said, they've invested it into their homes. They've done it by the rules. Linda next door to me has put 30 years into that garden that she has there. Their backyard is almost, during COVID, has been like an outside family room. They have a hot tub, they have a nice patio, they have lovely barbecue. We don't want that being wrecked. The neighbors are concerned about the welfare of the people at 35 and at 39. Linda, Haig, Rosemary, and sorry, his name has slipped me for the moment. We hope that the members of the committee share our concern for them. Peter, I know he lives north of Kingston Road, but he doesn't share the concern of the neighbors abutting onto this the way the rest of us do. We are very concerned for their welfare, their privacy, the value of their properties, and indeed the value of our own properties. We believe this will damage them. So, just one or two other minor things. Peter did mention the garage. It was a bit of an eyesore. Well, an eyesore is someone else's, picture, you could say. And at this point, I do not believe Peter has come to a written agreement of how he is going to make Rosemary whole when it comes to tearing down half the garage. And I don't think it would be fair of the committee to give a go-ahead to a project of this size without having that done.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Just so that
Thank you.
everyone knows, we in council chambers are unable to see the screen. It appears to be a technology glitch. So give us a couple of minutes to fix this because I can't see anyone right now. So allow us a couple of minutes to check with our staff. You can see it? The server went down? Okay. Eric? Committee members can see us, right? Me. No. They can't see me? Either? Okay. Okay, all right. So all those who are listening, please, sorry? Oh, okay. They're on mute. Okay, perfect.
Testing YouTube. Testing.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We're back. Hope everyone can see me and hear me. Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, sorry about this glitch. There was a technical difficulty. The screen just disappeared, but we're back now. Okay, well, Brian, I appreciate your comments. Thank you. I guess we can move on to our next speaker who's on the list, Patty Hargreaves. Patty, you're with us? She's not there? Okay. Well, I just want to put on record that we did receive Patty's written submission, and the committee members have received it and read it. The next person on the list is Mark Dion. Mark Dion.
Oh, hi there.
Hi, Mark. Sir,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi.
You have 5 minutes, and please carry on.
Okay, I won't take that long. Thank you, committee. Thanks, everybody. So my name is Mark Dion, and my family and I live across the street from the subject property at 38 Andale. We feel that the updates made to the minor variance requests are reasonable. The two-story proposal is consistent with other renovated and modernized homes on the park. It's also appropriate for the market demand in this neighborhood from which we all benefit. Moreover, the beautiful front-facing oak tree is being left alone. That was a key piece for me. And furthermore, I should add that the proposal is not for a purpose-built rental or a multi-unit dwelling, which that would not be consistent with the zoning of the neighborhood. So in taking a look at the proposal and the minor variances that are requested and amended, we would support the minor variances as is. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for your supporting comments. Members of the committee, any questions for Mark? I see none. Okay. We are going to move on to our next speaker, Jennifer Dion. Hello, Jennifer. Okay. Jennifer, you're there?
Dion,
Yes.
I'm
Okay, Jennifer, just wait for a second. She's good. Okay. Jennifer, now you can now start.
This is Jennifer Dion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing anything. Can you hear me?
No, it was at our end. No worries. Please go ahead.
I don't know. Mute on. 20 seconds.
Yeah. There's a technical glitch.
I live across.
It automatically
Can you tell
mutes
them
you.
I mute?
No, we're not muting you. It automatically mutes itself.
Okay, thank you. I will defer my comments to my husband, Mark Dion, who's already spoken based on the technical difficulties I'm having here. My concerns were addressed. The tree is protected. The house is definitely in keeping with the other new builds in the area. It will be a lot more energy efficient than the houses that we have now that were built very inexpensively post-war. So I see it as a refresh to the housing stock, which is a good thing. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And I apologize for the inconvenience. It was, the technical glitch was at our end. So you're good. Okay. Any questions for Jennifer? I see none. Okay. Well, thank you, Mark and Jennifer, for taking the time to come and speak with us, as well as Patty, not Patty, as well as Brian. Now I go back to Peter James Lux. Peter, you're with us now?
Yes.
Okay, Peter. So you have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes, and you can respond to the comments.
Yeah, thank you. So, so Patty lives a good distance away from the property. And as I say, we are doing 33 Lyndale. That's the street she's on, and there is no contestants against that from her. So we'll leave that at that. As far as the house going back, too far in the backyard, there is a one-story addition out the back that does extend further than the rest of the house, but it is a one-story addition, and that one-story addition, as far as 39 Andale is concerned, they already have a garage on their side, so that garage extends further past than our structure would be. I did speak with Mr. Brian Hill just shy of a year ago. Mr. Brian Hill is in real estate and had mentioned that at that time when I spoke with him that he didn't have any opposition to anything being built because it raises his property value. Yes, I am a fellow that builds houses and I do sell them. We do extensive landscaping in our properties. We take pride in our work. As they say, I do live in the pocket, so I definitely make sure that we respect the neighbors and that our houses are second to none. They do sell for top dollar. I've never sold a property that has not beaten the record before, if you will. And in saying that actually raises the values of the neighboring properties. We do have at this house, there's a large covered private area where most of the backyard stuff will happen. And when we do this area so that it is private for the owners and private for the neighbors. As far as the garage goes, for 35, I did not say it was an eyesore. I said it was the devalues the property and having it as a semi-detached. I offered to the owners there, Rosemary and Ali, that I would rebuild a garage for them against their house. So they're both detached to the houses. They didn't like this option. Another option that was discussed and we sort of had verbally agreed on is that when I take down the garage, that I would save the bricks and I would reface the side of the garage for them. And that turned into a request from that owner that I would re-brick the garage, put a new roof on, which is my responsibility. Then it was also requested that I pour a new pad for them, tuck point the whole garage, put a new garage door on, electric garage door opener, and redo her whole driveway, which is currently I would asphalt that is easily 20 years old, and I would put in a new driveway that is interlocked that would complement her house and differ from the interlock that I'm putting on my driveway. Which I felt was kind of above and beyond a reasonable request. I will do what I'm legally responsible for, and I felt was above and beyond by saying that I will re-brick the side of it. I would fix the front of it. I'm a nice builder and will do nice things, but I can't. What she was asking was well over $50,000, and that seemed excessive. So I think we can come to a reasonable agreement of what I will do for them, but that's still yet to be discussed, and I don't think that has anything to do with the Committee of Adjustment here today.
Yes,
I think that's it.
I was about to say that this is nothing that I can help you with or anything that we would be interested in knowing. So if we can sort of use your last minute and sum up your comments, if you have anything more to add.
That's it. The only other one was there's another fella on there at 33, John Quigley, and he was concerned about the deck looking over, and his immediate neighbor at 31 has a really large second floor deck. I'm not going to speak to the legality of it and whether it was passed or not, but whether it was done on the weekend. But as I say, it is a really large deck that, as I say, you can see if Katrine pulled that up, you could see from Google satellite that it towers out the back. There's no privacy whatsoever. It is just a complete second story deck that overlooks everything. So that I can see that deck from my property at 37. When I stand close to the house, you can definitely see it when you move towards the back of the yard. So that would look over many properties, and no one seems to have complained about that. That is existing. But we did remove the third story, we reduced the height, reduced the size, and the second floor deck that we're proposing is quaint. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Your time's up. I will like to now take the matter into committee. Committee members, you heard the comments from both the applicant as well as the speakers or neighbors. We talked about, there's some written submissions as well that we've read. Oh, I just want to check one thing with Peter. Peter, you're familiar with the conditions of urban forestry and community planning staff report?
Yes.
Okay. And should the committee make a decision and impose those conditions, do you have any concerns or questions on that?
No, I don't have any concerns with that. No, I
Okay.
don't. There was a request from a lot of the neighbors to remove the big tree out the front of the house because they seem not to like it. I don't believe it's an oak. I believe it is a sugar maple, but I'm not an arborist. But that tree would be protected as well as any other trees.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, committee, I had to interrupt just to check that. So coming back to you. Any deliberation, any thoughts? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Again, a clarification. My notes say that the third floor platform has been totally deleted and that this is going to be a two-story house. There is no third floor. I think some of the problems are there was changes.
Sorry.
And then the staff
Sorry,
commented.
Peter, I think we're talking internally.
Through the chair, I can answer that question
Staff
based on
can
the revised variances.
Thank you.
I don't believe there is a third story proposed. I believe that the variances are, I don't think the.
Let's pull up the variant. Let's pull up the notice.
Yes, the third floor was never proposed. I think it was just for height.
Yes, there were platforms that were proposed.
Yes.
Since have been removed.
Yes, the
The
platforms
rear
have been
third
removed.
floor platform.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so this is page, yes, that's exactly it. It was variance number 9, and it said the rear third floor platform has been deleted, so essentially no variance required for that one. Okay.
And the roof platform has been deleted.
The third floor platform has been deleted. The second floor platform or the balcony.
No, I'm going to number 10.
Number 10? Yes, I am on number 10. The second floor balcony is now at 8.2 as opposed to 9 square meters that was originally requested.
Right. And the proposed roof platform has been deleted.
That is correct.
Okay. So no platforms.
Well, only except the second floor.
Okay. It's a balcony, 8.2 meters squared. Okay. And I believe we have a community planning comments suggesting that it be built in accordance with their site plan and that that site plan recognizes the reductions that have been made in this application.
I think, no. I think the site plan still is the older one.
Through the chair, though, as I explained in the morning session, the way this is worded is that it's substantially in accordance with. So this is the worst case scenario. Obviously, with the reduced variances or the elimination of variances.
Yeah, so the drawings will have to change or include the variances as they're approved today, if they're approved today. So generally in conformity would sort of cover that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any more thoughts or comments? Okay. All right. If there are no further comments, can I please have a motion? When you do speak to the motion, refer to the amended application. Member Macaulay, please go
You
ahead.
are making me work. I recommend approval of this application as amended, subject to the development in accordance with the revised site plan as per community planning.
No.
I'm running into words here. Why doesn't someone else try this motion?
No, you can try. All you gotta say is that subject to the community planning staff report recommendation and urban forestry, if you wish to add that. Because the wording in that recommendation would take care of the changes that would be as a result of the variances.
I recommend approval of these variances as revised and subject to community planning, to building in accordance with the community planning report and urban forestry.
Okay.
I think you've got it.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. So there is a motion on the floor to approve the application, subject to condition of community planning staff report, as well as the urban forestry conditions. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval of item number 22 as amended, subject to conditions of community planning staff recommendation and urban forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? Motion's carried and the application has been approved. Thank you. We now go to item number 24. Item 24 is 57 Eastvale Avenue. And can we have the agent, Jonathan, please? And while we get Jonathan.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Okay, so this is a consent and associated minor variance application. It's a consent to sever property into 2 residential lots and then associated minor variance application. So Jonathan, please go ahead.
Through the chair, before the agent, no, my apologies, strike that. My apologies. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, Jonathan, go ahead.
Could we, sorry, could we bring up the draft R plan submitted, please?
Sure. Katrine, can you
So this is an application that we've actually been. Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. This is an application that's actually been going on for about 2 years with the City of Toronto under review by both planning as well as development engineering. The original proposal proposed 2 dwellings that fronted onto Barkdean Hills rather than Eastville. That proposal required no variances for minimum lot frontage, nor any variances for minimum lot area. In speaking with development engineering, it was noted that there is no services that extended along Barkdean Hills. So even though, again, there would be no frontage, nor a minimum lot area request at the committee where both would comply, it was requested that we flip the houses to both front onto Eastville, where municipal services are located. Now, if we could go to my support material, please. If we could zoom in, please. The variances that before you today, essentially for the house at the north, deals with minimum lot frontage, as well as flanking side yard setback onto Barkdean Hills. What I've done here is I've superimposed a TLAB approved consent, which is located to the east of this property within the rear yard. I've then taken a dotted line and continued that prevailing setback that is approved from that TLAB decision to the rear. In addition, what I've done, and Katrina, if we could zoom in into part 2, please. What we also see here is I've also then dotted in the existing dwelling that exists on this property. So right now there are 2 structures on 57 Eastville. There is the single dwelling along the north portion and an existing garage along the rear portion. I've then taken the proposed severance line, the thick black line in the middle, to illustrate what that built form and what that massing today would look like compared to if this can be considered meritorious and approved. So what we can see from the north lot line with the existing dwelling, that dotted line extends to the same setback that is proposed along Barkdean Hills to the north, in addition to additional area that would be between the 2 dwellings, as we see to the south. Now, the reason it's important, in my opinion, to look at the massing is there's a couple of components that when we look at a consent that makes sense. One is the compatibility of the dwelling, one is the frontage, one is the lot area, and one is that look and feel we get from a streetscape as we were to walk along it. Often the comments of committee and especially this neighborhood association is you're shoehorning dwellings into properties that aren't appropriate. In this case, the north dwelling basically sits identically to where that existing dwelling sits today. It is actually smaller in mass than what presents itself to Eastville. The proposed dwelling on the southern portion of the property, and I have superimposed the existing detached garage, yes, is larger. But again, it's important to remember that there are two masses today that front onto Eastville. So essentially, we're taking the detached garage off of the southern portion and proposing to replace it with a new dwelling. Now, turning to the variances and the appropriateness of what's being provided, Katrina, if we could go to the next page, please. The only built form request that is before you today is for an FSI variance for the south lot. What I've done here is I've taken the two outside walls to outside walls, put them next to each other. The zoning bylaw permits the required parking space area to be deducted from the proposed FSI. So if we take, and sorry, just to backtrack for 1 sec, and because we have a proposed reduction of 0.23 meters in the proposed parking space for the interior integral garage, the zoning examiner is now including this into the floor area of the dwelling. And that's actually noted in the notice that has gone out. So if we actually look at the south dwelling, the actual request for the livable area is 215.46 square meters, which is essentially 11.46 meters over what the zoning bylaw permits. Now, to go back to when we speak to prevailing lot sizes and lot types, this is the largest lot in the neighborhood. So the flip side of it is we have a mass already on this property of a dwelling along the north portion. And if we take that lot line that is being proposed, we are essentially removing that detached garage from the southern portion and reappropriating that detached garage to the rear of Part 2, which is the corner property. Again, just to repeat what I said in the beginning, this is an application that has been going back and forth with, sorry, Madam Chair, am I done?
Yes, sorry to interrupt you, but your time's done, so just please close your remarks.
Again, just to look at, again, the dwellings fronting onto Eastville rather than Barkdean, there is no issues with safety. There are no city reports speaking to anything other than the modest reduction of 0.23 meters. And again, that flanking setback on Barkdean Hills exists today and matches the TLAB approved dwelling to the rear of this. You can see that through what has been superimposed there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Jonathan? Okay, Member McCauley, please go ahead.
A quick question. I noticed that you have got a separate parking garage on that north property, and Transportation Services originally objected to it. Have you satisfied Transportation Services?
Through you, Madam Chair, the objection to Transportation Services is for the southern lot, whereas 3.2 meters is required. We're proposing 2.97. That detached garage is what the zoning bylaw envisions for flanking corner properties where it's located in the rear. So the actual transportation report deals with the southern lot, whereas the bylaw requires 3.2, and we are proposing 2.97. And again, through you, Madam Chair, that goes back to the FSI of Part 2, now including that the garage area, whereas if it were to be 3.2, that FSI would be removed from the number itself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that helps, Member McCauley. Okay. All right. If there are no further questions, can let's move on to speaking with our registered speakers. The first one that we have on the list is Veena Sharma. Veena, you with us?
Hello. Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Okay, Veena, so you have 5
Hello?
minutes. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Veena Sharma. I and my family reside at 55 Eastville Avenue. We're the next neighbor to subject property, and we've been here for 15 years or so. The Residents Association is working to preserve the unique nature of our neighborhood and does not support the application to sever and replace existing dwelling located at 57 Eastville Avenue with 2 new dwellings. Okay. Please pull up the applicant's site plan page 1 in the plan CA plan January 18, 2022. I understand Jonathan was trying to explain about this garage issue, but I wasn't pretty clear because the variance 4 and 5, chapter 200.5.1, bylaw number 569-2013 and clause 1.3 BE, Cliff Crest zoning bylaw number 9396, the minimum required parking space size is 3.3 meters by 5.6 meters. The proposed minimum required parking space size is 2.97 meters by 5.89 meters. The garage associated with the proposed house directly north of mine will be too small to accommodate a normal size vehicle, as noted in the Engineering and Construction Services report of February 8, 2022. The report indicated that transportation service cannot support these variances. In addition, the material identified to the west of the garage is identified as grass, which the municipal licensing and standards do not permit as a driveway surface. Consequently, the site plan drawing must be corrected to appropriately identify the surface identified as grass. This may also affect the landscaping calculations. These issues create concerns related to the parking on the adjacent property and in front of my property. Another point is related to potential drainage issues. When number 40 and 42 on Brooklawn Avenue, which is just backing the subject property, were being excavated, about 5 large drainage pipes were exposed in the western end of the site under the subject property at 57 Eastville Avenue. The city should satisfy itself as to what those drainage pipes were associated with and their necessity, especially as the current owners of number 40 and 42 on Brooklawn report that their sump pumps are working 24/7. Drainage is a significant issue in southwest Cliff Crest given underground streams and overland flows that go from the southwest towards the ravine. The overland flows will likely increase with increase in buildable area. This proposed development is not within the prevailing character of the homes in the immediate area, as well as the extended area. The proposal represents an excessively large footprint while negatively impacting the abutting neighbors. This proposed new dwelling is clearly out of the character with the homes on Eastville Avenue. This application does not represent appropriate development of this site. This application fails to maintain the intent and the purpose of official plan policy 4.1.5. The application does not represent appropriate development of this site. The requested variants are not minor variants. The application fails to meet the intent and purpose of zoning bylaw 569-2013. Okay, so please pull up slide 1 or 2 from the Residents Association presentation that shows the current views of the immediate area. Over the recent years, we have seen increase in home sizes throughout the community. Generally, these developments have been done while respecting the general zoning and prevailing character of the neighborhood. Now, recently, increasing number of applications in Cliff Crest, Scarborough Village area for much larger homes with the smaller lots with little regard for potential negative impact on the neighbors. This application is an egregious example of this growing attitude. I am the next door neighbor. We have no issues like, people coming in, rechanging or whatever, they're building new homes, all that. We just want them to respect the character of our neighborhood and also just follow the variance and the bylaws. And also, so the long term, that there's no consequences to the neighborhood.
Okay. Veena, your time's up. Your
so-
time is up, so I would request you
sorry.
to wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah, please wrap up.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your
Hello?
time. Yes,
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Hello. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm saying that thank you for your comments. We heard your comments as well as we received your written submission, so thank you. Okay?
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Can we have our next speaker, Alan Burt, please? Alan, you're with us?
Yes, I'm right here. Thank you.
Perfect,
Yes,
Alan.
my name is Al. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You have 5 minutes. Please
Okay,
go
good.
on.
Yes, I would like to start off with, I just want to clarify a point on one of the variances. In the initial zoning notice, they were, excuse me, they were applying to have 2 homes on one property, at which point the zoning examiner noted that they should apply for a severance, which has now been done. However, the 2 applications to have 2 homes on one property is still there on the public notice. Should those not now be removed?
Well, there is a notice of consent. There's a severance notice. So they're creating 2 lots and building a house on each lot. So I'm not sure what the question is.
But there's also a request for a variance to have 2 homes rather, on one property. Twice.
No. Okay. Is it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Okay, is it? Okay. Staff, can you please clarify?
Through the chair, the committee is required to review the variances that are currently before them. The application, and there have been discussions on this. The waiver, there was previous, my understanding, and you can speak to the applicant on this, but this was the result of a zoning waiver which had a previous zoning review prepared by Toronto Buildings, and this was identified in the zoning notice. Again, if this lot is being created through consent. So just to clarify, and I cannot, only Toronto Buildings can interpret the zoning bylaw, but it's my understanding that it will be 1 dwelling per lot that will be created.
Oh, okay, so now I understand.
Yes.
Okay.
And you may wish to confirm that
We
with
can confirm that.
with the applicant later on.
Okay. So, Alan, would you like me to confirm with Jonathan right now, or would you want to carry on with your comments and then we go back to Jonathan?
I can carry on with my
Okay.
comments and with that later.
Please go ahead.
I clarified that why that should still now need to be there. Okay. Now I live on Sunny Point Crescent, which is approximately 2 blocks east of Eastville. I am a director of the Cliffcrest Scarborough Village Southwest Residents Association and the co-chair of the Planning Development Committee. We are an incorporated not-for-profit association which is working to preserve the unique nature of our neighborhoods. And like the previous speaker, we do not support this minor variance application. Could I ask if you could put slide 10 of the RA presentation on the screen? Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah. Can you go back one? Well, that's it. Yeah. Using a T-Lab example, we required the data from some very recent T-Lab hearings to put this table together. And it includes properties in Cliffcrest, 984 lots in the area from Brimley Road to the west, Cathedral Bluffs to the east, Kingston Road to the north. And of these lots, as you can see, 99.7% have lot frontages greater than 8.83. As a matter of fact, 99.3% of them are greater than 10 meters. The average frontage in the neighborhood is 14.2 meters, and the average frontage on Eastville is 13.5. The intent of the official plan is clearly recognized in Chapter 4, land use designations that reinforce the existing physical character. 4 land use designations shown on the plan's land use maps: neighborhoods, neighborhoods, parks, and open space areas and utility corridors will help to protect and reinforce the existing physical character of these areas. Toronto's hundreds of low-scale residential neighborhoods with their distinctive character, together with local institutions, retail, and services that serve their populations, are prized by residents. And development criteria in neighborhoods. The stability of our neighborhood's character is one of the keys of Toronto's success. While communities experience constant social and demographic change, the general physical character of Toronto's residential neighborhoods endures. Physical changes to our established neighborhoods must be sensitive and gradual and fit the existing physical character. A key objective of this plan is that new development respect and reinforce the general physical patterns in the neighborhood. Now, development neighborhoods will respect and reinforce the existing physical character of each geographic neighborhood, including in particular prevailing size and configuration of lots. The geographic neighborhood for the purposes of this policy will be delineated by considering the context within the neighborhood in proximity to a proposed development, including zoning, prevailing dwelling type and scale, lot size, and configuration. Can you please put slide 9 of the RA presentation on screen? Slide 9. I think that's the, yes, the minimum.
Alan, I just want to say that when we started to talk, your time was interrupted, but we're giving you 1 more minute to speak, so just keep that in mind.
Okay, can you please read? Then I will finish up quickly. Can you go down 1 more, please? Just wanted to indicate that the lot frontages here are much lower than anything else. That's on the street or in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the recent severances area, including 40 Brooklawn, that was referenced earlier, and 64 Eastville have preserved the minimum frontage of 10.5 meters. The frontage of 9.4 at 40 Brooklawn is related to an easement. So the property still actually does belong to 40 Brooklawn. So the proposed development is not within the prevailing character of the homes in the immediate area, as well as the extended area. These proposed new dwellings are distinctly out of character with the homes on Eastville Avenue. This application does not an appropriate development. I'm almost done. This application fails to meet the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw 569/2013 is not minor and is not desirable for the existing lot. When it comes to severance, it fails the lot frontage test and
I see none. Okay, thank you. We're going to go speak with our next speaker, and that would be Wendy Hooker.
Through the chair, we have a call-in user that matches the phone number of both of the next speakers. So I will unmute this caller and just ask them to identify whether this is Wendy or Brian.
Please.
Hi, my name is Brian Hill.
Okay. Hi, Brian.
Another Brian Hill, no relation. Thank you for allowing me this time to address the committee this afternoon concerning the requested variance to the zoning bylaws proposed for 57 Eastville. I am Brian Hill, and I live at 60 Eastville Avenue, directly across the street from 57, and I've lived here for 33 years. Our neighborhood responded quickly and as one voice to the proposal set forth by Deshi Investment, Inc. A petition with 69 names and 17 letters submitted to the Committee of Adjustments, all vehemently opposing the minor variances / permission request submitted for 57 Eastville. I suspect the response has been so strong because of the scope of the proposals and the fact that no one really saw this coming. There has been no correspondence from the developer and no collaboration with the neighborhood. It's very simply, these variances are in no way in keeping with the physical character of our neighborhood. The increase in square footage, small side yard setbacks, small parking pads, small lot frontages, and all of these variance requests come as a result of the one overwhelmingly egregious and aggressive request that united the neighborhood in protest to sever the property and build two dwellings where there is clearly, as stated in bylaw 569/2013, the maximum number of dwellings per lot is one. The proposed square footage is around 2,500 per square feet per dwelling. To put this in some sort of perspective, more for myself and our neighbors than for the committee, the existing bungalow now on this site is at best 1,200 square feet. These two dwellings combined would see a total of over 5,000 square feet, 4 times the size of what now exists on this single lot. We're all very aware that as most neighborhoods in the GTA are going through a transition phase, we have been going through a transition phase for the last 20 years down here, and for the most part, accept the changes as small frame bungalows make way for more roomy 2-story family dwellings. But these new homes have, for the most part, stayed in keeping with the character of the neighborhood and within the bounds of the city's bylaws. But these proposals concerning 57 Eastville Avenue do neither, and in no way can be considered as minor variances. The second topic of concern for us is the location of the driveway associated with Part 2 of this application. It's situated partway down the curving hill on Barkdean Hills. Barkdean is a bus route. It's the waterfront trail. Mothers take their toddlers down to its base to toboggan at Barkdean Parkette. It's a busy access route to Sunny Point Park to the south, Cliffside Park and Fairmont Public School to the east. As many as 30 cyclists can be seen roaring down the hill in early morning and early evening and making a perilous turn north on a Brooklawn. Walkers, strollers, hikers, dog walkers, skateboarders all find their way down Barkdean Hills, not to mention the hundreds of cars that flood this neighborhood each weekend in the summer looking for parking so they can enjoy Bluffers Beach. We all use great caution on this one block of roadway as traffic is heavy, the hill is windy and steep, and vision is not great. Placing a hidden driveway halfway down this stretch of roadway in the middle of a busy street makes an already bad situation even worse. During the 2018 COA hearing regarding the severance at 40 Brooklawn, located immediately behind 57, it was noted by the panel that the proposed plans for the two new homes included the removal of the existing driveway on Barkdean Hills, and that resulted reduced conflict with the bus route on the hill. Do we want to replace that problematic driveway with another, is what we're asking ourselves. I'd like to thank the committee for hearing our concerns today and for their time.
Well, thank you very much, Brian, for your questions for Brian. There aren't any. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. And is there any other speaker?
Through the chair, according to our speaker list, Wendy Hooker shares the same address and phone number as Alan Burt. So I will unmute Alan and ask to confirm if Wendy is with him and would like to speak.
Thank you, please.
Hello, it's Wendy Hooker speaking.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you.
Do you need Alan to speak to you as well?
No, that's fine. Alan has already spoken. You were listed as another speaker with the same number, but that's okay. You have 5 minutes. Please go on.
Thank you. I appreciate this hearing for this property. I have been living in this area since June of 1978. I would like to endorse what you have heard from my 3 previous speakers, particularly what Brian was talking about in regards to the hill. I regularly walk that hill. Brooklawn itself, which is on the south property behind, is actually a covered creek. To the left of this property, there is a ravine that has a ditch. It goes underneath Brooklawn, and there is a ravine that goes out towards the lake. I am particularly concerned now that this property has had all of its vegetation mature vegetation removed, that this proposed development of these two compressed homes together and the proposed garage will prevent any sustainable stopping of land overflow, of water overflow going over not only the street adjacent to it, but also going over to Brooklawn, endangering the two homes, their basements at 40 and 42 Brooklawn, and also the home that's adjacent to the ravine immediately opposite to them. As I said, I walk with my children, my grandchild, our dog regularly up that street. Again, as Brian said, the placement of that garage, I am very concerned. On that same corner, there is a bus stop. I'm concerned about the safety of the people who are going to be using that street on a regular basis. I thank you very much for your listening to me on those respects. That is the end of my comments.
Thank you, Wendy. Committee members, any questions for Wendy? Okay, I see none. All right. Excuse me. I think that was the last speaker on the list for this item. Let's go back to Jonathan and see his responses to the concerns that have been raised. Jonathan.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. A couple of things to speak about the prevailing character of the neighborhood. These are proposed two-story dwellings that have no request for a building height. As well, the part one to the south has an integral garage with one floor of living above. So I'm not quite sure how we could be conflicting with a character of a neighborhood where exactly what the bylaw envisions in terms of height is being complied with, as well as built form with one level of garage and one floor of living above. In terms of the prevailing side yard setbacks, again, we are in keeping with the side yard setback to the north, as well as the side yard setbacks between both proposed dwellings. The side yard setback request is on the flanking side, which is Barkdean Hills, which is exactly what is there today, and in addition, matches the said TLAB approved house along Brooklawn. Now, if we could actually go to the Cliffcrest presentation that they've prepared, Katrina, if we could go to page 2, a lot of time was spent speaking about the safety of the garage at the rear. I'd just like to mention a couple of things about that. There is no sidewalk, again, similar to the project I had before, along this side of Barkdean Hills. So I would question the safety of somebody walking with a child down a blind corner where there is no sidewalk provided. The sidewalk is actually on the north side of Barkdean Hills, not along the south side. In terms of the TTC and how the TLAB approved application along Brooklawn dealt with that, the actual TTC stop is at that corner. This is well away from that TTC stop at the corner of Brooklawn and Barkdean Hills. Again, this application would have been circulated to the TTC, would have been circulated to transportation. Again, the envisioning of parking for flanking houses on corners is to have them located in the rear yard, not off of the front. In terms of grading and drainage, again, whether this is a severance or not, the placement of the house to the south is as per the zoning bylaw. We go back to a massing of what is being proposed with two lots, where the existing house on the north is essentially sitting on exactly half of the property. So in terms of an appropriate form of intensification, where the north house does not request any height increase, does not request a FSI increase, only requests one built form, which is the maintaining of that side yard setback of the existing house, as well as following the pattern of the dwelling approved along along Brooklawn. Now, speaking about prevailing frontages, Mr. Burke brought up a very interesting point, speaking to the size and configuration of lots. What we can see from this lot here, this is not the prevailing configuration of a lot on a corner with a curve. The massing of the dwelling, if this were to be built as one, would essentially be identical to what you see today in one dwelling. Now that would be out of keeping with what is in this neighborhood. In terms of the massing, we see the massing of what we're proposing matches that existing dwelling to the north. It's not larger, does not request a height increase, nor an FSI increase. The only FSI increase is related to the southern dwelling, which is essentially 10 square meters over. Again, in keeping with height, building length, building depth, front yard setback, rear yard setback, as well as both side yard setbacks. Now, just bear with me for 1 sec, just to go over my notes here. Oh, the question Mr. Burt raised was a very good question. I had extensive conversations with Katrina about why that variance is requested. This examiner puts this on his consent applications. I'm not quite sure why that's a variance were required, whereas essentially if you're granted the consent, you've created those additional lots. So this is just a matter of how the notice was written from the examiner in the building department. And I think that really.
But
that really wraps up
sorry,
my
Jonathan, isn't there's a zoning waiver? There was a certificate as well?
Correct, Madam Chair. I did do a zoning waiver to eliminate some variances, but I do have a zoning review that should be on the AIC.
Understood.
That will be reflective of those of that variance being required. And again, I did have conversations with Katrine about this and the appropriateness of it. Yeah, as you can see on the screen there, that is a copy of the zoning notice.
Okay, fair enough. I just want to make sure that should the committee grant this variance from a planning standpoint, no issues?
Through the chair, that if the committee should review make a decision on the variances that are in front of them, that are before them.
Okay, I'm just talking aloud in my head right now.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay, so if a lot is created, you could actually have 2 units on that lot.
The danger is that if these variances are approved and this variance is removed, then the risk is that when it goes to building permit, the zoning it may not get approved.
Okay.
So out of an abundance of caution, if the committee should choose to approve this, approve it as is,
Okay.
as proposed.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it clear in my head because this is very unusual to see, that's why. Okay, all right, so we got that clarification. We did get detailed responses to the comments that were raised. Any questions for Jonathan? I see none. Okay, Jonathan, thank you for taking your time to speak with us and responding to the comments.
Thank you, Madam.
I will now take the matter into committee. Committee members, any thoughts? Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My thoughts on this application, I will go right at the outset of the application, and I feel that this proposal itself, to sever the property into 2 lots, is not convincing to me. And I am not convinced by the argument that what is going to be out of character of the street. So one of this is going to be making a lot of reference, like where 95% lots in the area, the pattern which we are looking at, their lot frontage is bigger than the lot proposed over here. So this lot size is not good to be subsequently to be having 2 independent dwellings are there, which are massive, and we will come to the minor variance. But I am not convinced even at the outset of the application with the severance application to divide this lot into 2, because they are not creating an appropriate lot size, and perhaps it could be not a positive precedent for the applications coming in the future.
So, okay, so you mentioned appropriate lot size. So when you say, I'm assuming you mean lot frontage, or are you referring to lot area?
Is the lot frontage.
Okay, so if the lot frontage currently, the way it is, stays at 21 meters, right? And the rest, let's say, are I'm just assuming hypothetically, if there are additional severances on the street and they do meet the required 10.5, and this one will always stay as 21 because the committee may choose not to approve this, would that be appropriate for that street then? For this lot to remain at 21 meter lot frontage?
I cannot say about the
Okay.
future, but the stats were presented to us, Madam Chair. I can see like 97% of the lots are bigger than this size.
Okay, so
lot
what you're
frontage.
saying is that the 1.5 or meter point something is significant enough then, and you don't feel it's compatible for the rest of the lot frontages? Okay, okay, fair enough. No, I just want to understand what your thought process. Any other comments? Member Macaulay.
I'm going to add to what Member Hasood has said. It is a big lot. Jonathan has already acknowledged that it is a big lot. It's an awkward lot, and it has a lot of difficulties, including servicing issues. And so his solution to that is to create 2 lots on Eastview, both of which are smaller than any of the other lots in the area. And we've got the data that has been presented to TLAB saying that this would be smaller than 97% of the lots in the area. In some cases, especially when you've got lots of subdivisions that have gone on for years, you do get the unusual irregular lot, which was not developed for good reasons. In this case, one of the good reasons is lack of servicing on Eastview Avenue. A second one that caused me some concern, and I know can be addressed but wasn't, is the number of pipes that the residents were talking about underneath this property. That wasn't addressed. It would be addressed presumably at building permit stage, but I'm not sure. And when we are dealing with consent applications, we're also supposed to be dealing with the servicing concerns. And I'm not convinced that everything for the creating 2 consents, 2 smaller lots with some questions about servicing, some questions about the driveway access and safety is an appropriate consent approval.
I'm by no definition an expert on servicing, and I'm looking at some guidance from Toronto Engineering Department. And is there something that I have missed regarding servicing that I'm not seeing here? I don't see any concerns raised by the experts of servicing saying that there's a servicing issue here.
I think the comments came from the community and their experience at the TLAB for the adjacent property, which revealed some servicing issues. It also makes me question why there are no services on Eastville Avenue.
No, there are services on Eastville Avenue. There are no services on Barkdean Hills. So if you look at the memo from engineering, they're saying that it would require that the buildings be connected to the municipal services on Eastville, not on like right there.
There are no water mains and sewers on Barkdean Hills.
Yeah, so but there is servicing available on Eastville, so they're saying the connections will have to be off Eastville. And again, here's my point. We're not servicing experts here. We should not be talking about servicing. We have clearance from engineering department and advisory comments directing where the services should be connected to. I don't know the details of the TLAB, what servicing issues surfaced. We should not be even referring to those because those could be case specifics, context specific, who knows. I want to look at what Toronto Engineering Services has provided to me in this meeting and for this application, and what they're saying is that there's servicing on Eastville and that connection shall be made to Eastville. Okay, so I think we need to move past servicing. That's already been addressed through the Toronto Engineering Department. Any other comments? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Well, my only comment is that, yes, they would be smaller lots, but we're also faced with the sort of the conundrum of can we produce more housing in Toronto and in the GTA? And if the severance went ahead, we would have one additional house built. So I'm thinking about that aspect, and that's all I wanted to say, Madam Chair. Not prepared to make a motion.
Okay, and thank you, Member McKay, for saying that. And this is why I was trying to understand why 1.5 meters loss of or deficiency in lot frontage mattered on a street where there are potentially more lots, which would, if potential severances were to occur, they would result in lot frontages that would meet the zoning. But this is only 1.5 meters shy. It's still creating 2 adequately sized lots which can accommodate dwelling units on the property. There's servicing available. I'm going to the public notice again. I'm looking at the severances that are required. There's no height or FSI requirements. I think it's fairly straightforward here. Parking is deficient. Yes, I see that. But for the most part, it is meeting all the other standards or performance standards of the zoning bylaw, and yet creating 2 much-needed housing products or two more dwelling units within this neighborhood. Okay, so that was your comment. Any more comments or concerns? If there aren't any, then can we please have a motion? There are conditions of urban forestry, there are conditions of engineering, and of course the standard conditions of consent. Can I please have a motion? Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as I said, I'm not convinced with the application at the outset about the severance into 2 lots, which is going to be, it's not going to be meeting the character of the street at this point exactly. So I move the motion for refusal of the sever application.
Okay, can I have a seconder, please? Member McCauley, please go ahead.
I'll second that motion. I think the issue here really is consent, and is that lot pattern, its servicing, its access appropriate. And I haven't been convinced it is.
Okay, thank you for that, Member McCauley. So the motion was seconded. All in favor of this motion? All opposed? The motion fails. Can I have a new motion, please?
I'll put forward a motion to approve 57 Eastville Avenue with the conditions from urban forestry, with the conditions from engineering included. Is that the right proper terminology?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to accept or approve the consent application subject to conditions of urban forestry and engineering services and, of course, the standard conditions of consent. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would second that approval, allowing the consent and variances here subject to the conditions as stated.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application for the consent application has been approved. we now move to the associated minor variance applications for these two lots. We could do that combined and together. Can I please have a motion on the two associated minor variance application for 37 Eastville Avenue?
Oh, Madam Chair, I would then move approval, first of all, for minor variance application A0149/20 SC. And I'd also go on to then move to approve the minor variances for that associated file A0150/20 SC.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Igor, please go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the applications for minor variance.
Oh, wait. Testing, testing. Yeah, audio.
Hi, Hannah, are we back?
I think we're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
What a day.
Okay. My mind is just so tired.
Gary, we're actually
On YouTube.
unmuted right now. Okay, so
That's fine. They should get a sense of my disposition right now. That's fine. Okay.
Okay. So let me know when to start.
And at one time, I was hoping that we'd work back in City Hall. I don't think I want to go back there.
Okay, all right. So we're going to move. So welcome everyone. Sorry for this inconvenience, and thank you for your patience. We had a technological glitch, and we're back now. I believe we dealt with item number 20, the last one, and we were at item 26. Item 26 is 131 Bexel Avenue. And can we have Leo Mastandria, please? Leo, you're with us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Leo.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Leo.
Yes. My name is Leo Matthew. 130. And the reason why we're here today, we
Madam Chair, I can't hear the applicant.
Thank you, Igor. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, Leo, we could not hear you. You were in and out.
Okay. So we were here last year, got approval from the committee to for the consent and for the minor variances. Unfortunately, in the public notice sent out to the public, part 3 was missed on the notice. So it's more of a wording issue that we have right now. If you want to pull up, yeah, exactly. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. So is that sliver of land on the top that was
So
missed?
Only the wording, the area and the reference plan and everything are the same. We're not changing the proposal. The only thing was is part 3 was missed to be added to part 2. So because of that, we're here today to rectify this.
Okay. So that linear piece of strip, that linear strip that was still shown on the plan in the previous version, except that that label or the notation for part 3, the text was not added to part 2, correct?
Correct. On the public hearing notice.
Public
Correct.
hearing notice, okay. Okay. Anything else you would like to add?
Not unless you have any questions.
Sorry, Leo, we can't hear you.
Not at this moment.
Okay,
If you have
all
any
right.
questions, I can answer.
Okay, Leo, so members of the committee, do you have any questions for Leo? As he explained, that sliver or that piece, linear strip, was shown on the plan, but the text, the notation was not added on the plan and combined with part 2. So that's why he's back at the committee. Any questions on that? Okay, I see none. All right, if there are no questions, I will go to the speaker who has registered to speak with us, George Morrison.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, George, we can hear.
Hello.
Yes, George, we can hear you. You have 5 minutes. Please go on.
Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties as well, but I'm speaking on the phone, but I can't reach you for the audio on the computer, unfortunately. I had a number of questions. Well, not really. I had 2 points to make. One is that when the original application was made, it became a legal document and it's fixed. It's akin to vehicle ownership or the deeds to a house or even to a passport. And it can't be changed. Everything that is set has a legal status. Therefore, just grafting on another portion to this or a piece of information seems to me to be unacceptable. You wouldn't be able to do that with an ownership. You wouldn't be able to do that with a home, with the deeds to a home. You'd have to go through the process again. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, George, we're hearing you. We just wanted to give you enough time to complete your comments.
No, I'm looking at your body language, and it looks like you're having difficulty hearing me. I'm sorry. That's just my impression from watching the video.
Okay, no, I apologize for that. So we heard you. Do you want to, at this point, add more comments or questions, or are you okay if we proceed with getting a response from the applicant?
Well, I had something else to say, but he sort of explained it a little bit to me. I was wondering who had initiated this. It's unusual after a year, almost a year, for another application to be made regarding the same piece of property. And I was wondering how this was initiated. How did it come about? That's what I would have asked the individual involved, and whether this was initiated and processed by an impartial body, or was it the applicant himself?
Okay, so
okay, that's it. You can.
Okay, we can.
Ask him to respond. That's fine.
We can get that information from staff as well as the applicant. So at this point, then I will go back to, first of all, staff. So staff, can you please confirm as to how this...
May I say one other thing? It's nothing to do with this application, simply that I've been watching this for 3 hours, and I'm terribly impressed by the people who speak, how the preparation that they make and the presentations they make to the committee, and the ability of the committee to sort through it. Really, I'll have to watch more often when I'm not so directly involved. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, George, for those comments. At this point, may I please request staff to provide clarification on how this came about, if you have any insight on that?
Through the chair, this application, I think the applicant explained how this application came about, but just to reiterate, in the original consent application, one of the parts for the conveyed parcel, part 3 was not identified as part of the conveyed parcel, which is why it needs to come back, why a new application is required.
Thank you. And that's what I wanted to hear from you, is that because it was missed in the application, this is why the applicant has to come back to the committee and get that correction done, or get the application looked at again.
That is correct.
Okay. And that is why it has to go through the whole process again, with the notification, with everything, the whole entire process.
Through the chair, that is correct.
Yes. What I'm trying to explain here or demonstrate is that this is a fairly transparent process. It was missed last time. It was caught, and now it's back at the committee with the whole process. There's no shortcut, there's nothing. So everything is black and white and transparent. Thank you. All right, on that note, if I could go back to Leo.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Leo. Any further comments or remarks? Hello?
No.
Yes, Leo. Any further comments or remarks?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. We now go to the committee members. Committee members, any questions, any comments? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I really wanted to appreciate Mr. George's comments on that he liked the proceedings of this committee. So thank you very much, Mr. George, and for your participation as well. Yes, there was a piece of information was missing. Although this was approved by the committee, a piece of information was missing. As Madam Chair mentioned, that this is caught, this has been brought back to the process. Everything has been transparent. The whole process was repeated, and today we are going to fix that small piece of information, although it was approved by the committee, and that's why it's here with all of us. So thank you very much for your comments and participation in that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Mohammed. Any further comments? If there are none, I just want to make sure that we have looked at the conditions. So we had conditions from urban forestry, and there were no conditions from engineering services. Okay, on that note, can I please have a motion? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the motion for approval of item number 26, subject to the condition of urban forestry.
May I have a seconder, please? Member Gary, please go ahead.
Happily, I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been approved. Thank you. Moving to the last item that was held today on the agenda is item 27, and this is 14 Natal Avenue. This is a consent application with a combined minor variance application. Can we have Jonathan Buskowski? Jonathan?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Jonathan. Jonathan, would you like to take questions at this time, or would you like to make a presentation?
Just a very brief presentation of how we've arrived at the built form we're at.
Okay, you have 5 minutes and your time starts now.
Yes, so this is a consent with 2 related minor variance applications. This did go through some vetting with planning. We made some changes to satisfy planning department as it related to some setbacks. We removed the setback to the flanking houses to the north and the south. So the setback to both the north house as well as the existing south house, not part of this application, are both complied with. In addition, the property is not removing any of the tree that is located in the front yard. Okay, I know that was some of the issues that some of the neighbors spoke of. That is proposed to be maintained. In terms of privacy and overlook, I did speak with the neighbor that is located to the north about some concerns. The proposed dwelling here, in terms of a side window, would not be able to see into a first floor living area, just based upon height and sight lines of being able to see down in a tightly packed urban setting. Dealing with the variances that are before you today, this is a neighborhood that is undergoing significant change, both in terms of built forms as well as development. In my opinion, this is an appropriate frontage and is able to accommodate a functional dwelling with only one built form request, which is a side yard setback located to the north. The dwelling is as per the overall zoning bylaw height of 9 meters. The flat roof is what's triggering the main wall height request. But again, the overall height of 9 meters, if pitched, or a mansard roof, would be able to be complied with. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Jonathan. Members of the committee, any questions? Okay, so Mr. Said, you go first, and then Member Macaulay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jonathan, as you mentioned that this is an appropriate size to handle these dwellings. Could you just elaborate on that? How you feel the frontage and the lot area is good? How you compare it with the lots in the area?
Yes, as mentioned through you, Madam Chair, this is a neighborhood that is undergoing significant change in terms of redevelopment throughout it. I've done consents on Natal as well as the surrounding streets of these larger lots that, in my opinion, are appropriate for intensification. And I'm just watching a little sideshow here. In terms of transportation being available to the south, in my opinion, again, this is appropriate for intensification, being a tightly packed urban neighborhood that it is. Fairly different than the previous application we had with larger lots. This is a smaller area of lots where there has been considerable development. And again, we have gone back and forth with planning. Frontage or lot area was never an issue in any of the conversations I had with planning. The only issue that they wanted to look at was one of the side yard setbacks, which we did increase. The only request for that side yard to have this functional home of about 2,100 square feet is the interior side yard between the two dwellings. But building length as well as exterior side yards are as per the zoning bylaw.
Is that good, Mr. Said? Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I'm listening to Jonathan, and initially he said there was no variances that this met frontage and lot area. I think that was kind of a generalization. It wasn't what he meant. Because I see we've got a number of variances for frontage, lot area, floor space index, side yard, and coverage, and main wall. I think really what he meant is, and Jonathan can confirm this, is that the only issue that the community planning had was the side yard in terms of the variances. But there are a number of variances addressed with this application.
Absolutely through you, Madam Chair. If I misspoke, I apologize. But yes, sorry. Maybe I'll rephrase that. The proposed lot frontage and lot area were never a concern with community planning. The only concern, yes, through you, Madam Chair, yes, the only concern was a side yard setback that we did increase, which invariably reduced the FSI as well as the coverage to bring it more in line with what is in the neighborhood. That's actually a very big thing now, where planning is actually giving you coverage numbers as well as FSI numbers in neighborhoods and looking for you really to conform with those numbers. That's something we haven't really seen, but is starting to take place now, where they're providing you what they deem to be that prevailing coverage as well as FSI within neighborhoods.
Okay, thank you. Just making sure that we've got all the information that we need to be able to give you a appropriate decision.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Macaulay. Member Gary, please go ahead.
Yeah, just to the speaker. So there was also a lot coverage issue. Correct? I've got a planning staff report there, and they're saying that they want it limited to a specific percentage. Sorry, 36.5. Yeah.
Correct. Through you, Madam Chair. What initially happened was there was an error in the initial notice from the hearing. I want to say in the first hearing of the new year, we'd made these changes, and I believe they just gave you the exact same planning report that they'd submitted from the previous one that didn't have time to make the formal changes, whereas I put in a revised list of variances. But yes, our requested coverage is actually 36.43, which is a whole 0.07% below the recommendation from planning. So in terms of, again, yes, and there exactly, there it is, what the reductions were based upon the conversations with planning that would have been from the initial application.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. So yes, so this application was revised, the notice is revised, and we saw that on the screen. If there are any more questions? Okay, if there are no questions at this time, I would like to move to our speakers, Ken and Kelly George. Thanks, Eric.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Ken.
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon. Please go ahead.
Hey, how are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. We live on Untitled Avenue, directly across from 14 at number 17. We've been residents for 15 years. We've endured and enjoyed a few different builds been done on the street over the years. There's several that are predominantly on that side of the street, 4, number 6, and number 8, that have been constructed in a similar manner to what's being proposed here. 4 and 6 as an architectural element that we quite enjoy. It's at least fitting with the neighborhood. Number 8 is not so much. There's also on the opposite side of the street several developments that have been done at number 33, 35, 41, and 45 respectively, that quite frankly fit much more better with the neighborhood. They are single family dwellings that have been torn down and rebuilt as a single family. So we do have some objection to this development continuing because the precedent has already been set with 4, 6, and 8, with these this almost wall being put up across the whole west side of the street on the south end. The other further objection, I guess, to this particular application is the fact that if we were talking about the side yard setback, 0.6 meters, if I understand that to be still the number being used as per the notice, I'd point out that that's 23 inches. I'm really not sure if that's the access then to the back of the property to gain access to the in-suite living. I'm not really quite sure how you move anything down 23 inches from back to front. So imagine that's your son or daughter moving into their new first rental apartment, for example, or mother-in-law, or any sort of thing like that. I'm not sure how you're supposed to get anything in there. So that'd be kind of, from the point of view, I get the rental, I get the idea that what they're trying to accomplish, but that seems to be illogical to me to be trying to accomplish, to try and get furniture and such in for a family moving in or a single family. The other great concern we have, obviously, is the tree. This tree has been there for untold years. It survived the ice storm. I have issue with the tree in the sense it took my hydro line down at the time, but we still love the tree because of the part that it adds to the neighborhood. It's one of the bigger trees on this stretch of the street, and we would very much hate to lose it. And at this point, I know this goes to forestry for their review, but it would be I work in the building industry, so I have a very tough understanding of how they're going to accomplish tearing one house down, building two, running two new sewer lines through without damaging the roots to this tree, and therefore killing it in the long term. So I guess that's my main comment about that. We've dealt with all of these over the years, and it's just that we appreciate the need for the neighborhood to change in some aspects, but we also don't really wish to have a wall built up across the entire west side of the street, which is slowly what's happening creeping from the south going north. What they've done more to the north on the east side of the street, more to the north end, would be sort of far more appropriate development, and also seem to be something more accomplishable with the tree that has to be protected in this case. I think at this time that's pretty much all the comments I have on this, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Members of the committee, any questions for Ken? I have been muted by my host. Okay. I guess I could be heard. Okay. Well, thank you very much. There are no questions for Ken. Thank you for your time today. Can I go back to the... sorry? Oh, thank you. Can we go back to Jonathan?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Two things. One, if we bring up the survey, please, Katrine. To address the tree issue, the existing curb cut will look to be maintained. So if we see from the survey, I'll just wait for that to come up. I know it's been a long day for Katrine. So if we actually look, the existing curb cut along the southern portion is actually to be maintained and actually will be reduced as per the proposed site plan with a narrower driveway of what's going in. So there is no intention to remove that tree. In fact, that is actually a city tree. That is not a privately owned tree, which really ramps up the amount of scrutiny if we were even proposing to be removing that. It is even more difficult, but in this case, we are not proposing to remove it, whereas that is the existing curb cut, that's asphalt. As you can see, that curb cut would actually be reduced along that northern limit if this were, a meritorious application. Two more points that were brought up. One is the side yard setback. That side yard setback at 0.6 is between the two proposed dwellings. The proposed side yard setback on the exterior of the north and the south is 0.9 meters, which accomplishes a couple of things. One is as per the zoning bylaw requirement. In addition, is as per the OBC requirement, which would be required for an exit for that secondary unit in the basement. So that 0.9 actually accomplishes not only the zoning bylaw, but as well as an OBC requirement that allows for fire egress from a legal basement apartment. The next point brought up dealt with the main wall height. Yes, we do have a main wall height request. Now, that main wall height request is, again, in keeping with the 9-meter overall height. In terms of character of the neighborhood, the main wall height request is one of the trickiest to really examine, because pre-569-2013, main wall height was not regulated by any zoning bylaw. So again, pre-569-2013, dwellings could have main wall heights very similar to what I believe he's at number 17 spoke of developments along the street. So again, that could be a mansard roof, but again, with a flat roof, that really accomplishes the same look as long as it's 50.0001% of that roof. And as you can see, many dwellings that appear as flat roofs, but are considered pitched roofs. So again, with changing architectural styles of a modern built form, which is really what we see throughout the city today, that's a look and feel that's becoming more prevalent. And again, it's contributing to the character, massing, prevailing look of neighborhoods. I think that's... Oh, there's only one other thing I'd like to maybe just review. If we could just go to the art plan, please, quickly, Katrine. In terms of the appropriateness of the massing of how it addresses the street. Again, fairly similar to the previous application we just had. The dwelling essentially sits on half of the lot today. Again, we have a detached garage. Again, a perfect form for intensification of a vacant, undeveloped lot that is just sitting there today. And again, I'd be happy to answer any questions that might arise.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Members of the committee, any questions for Jonathan? Okay, well, thank you, Jonathan, for your time. We'll take the matter into committee now. Before we go, Jonathan, you have read all the conditions of urban forestry and community planning staff report, and there are no conditions from engineering services.
I am happy with all recommended conditions of approval, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, members of the committee, any thoughts? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you. I really appreciate this one, Madam Chair, because I am recommending approval. It's probably the only consent I've got this time round. But taking a look at the consent application, his lot frontage and lot area is consistent with other lots in the area. I've checked 22, 23, 25A, 25B, 86, 88. So I am satisfied that the pattern that is created by creating two lots here is something that is established in the community. I don't believe there are any issues of servicing or access that we need to be concerned with, as long as he follows all the conditions of urban planning and community planning, the issues of forestry, the issues of engineering planning, your standard conditions of consent. I am prepared to recommend approval of the consent application.
Thank you. And there's conditions of approval as you mentioned. Okay. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval, consent application B0052/21SC, subject to the urban forestry conditions.
Okay, and the community planning staff report?
I apologize, yeah, plus community planning staff report recommendations there.
Okay, so the motion was seconded. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried, and the application, the consent application for 14 Natal Avenue has been approved. Now we can deal with the two associated minor variance applications. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you. I think we can deal with the two minor variance applications. They're almost identical, and therefore I recommend approval of variance application A028521SC and A028621SC. Again, it is subject to community planning that has requested that the variances be tied to the site plan figure number 1. And I don't believe there are any other conditions of the variance.
That is correct. Okay. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval, subject to the conditions stated there.
All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the applications for 14 Natal Avenue for minor variances have been approved. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the agenda in dealing with the items. I will go back to the agenda to confirm if we have other business. There is no other business? Okay.
Through the chair, on item, there is no other business. However, item 4, you may wish to highlight those.
Yes, thank you, staff. So under the other business, there are no items, but certainly on the agenda, we have item number 4, and that is T-Lab appeals. So staff has advised us that from the last hearing, some decisions have been appealed to the T-Lab. For 10 Panare Street, it was refused by the committee, appealed by the owner. Number 2 is 35 Brumbell Street. It was approved by committee, appealed by the neighbor. 197 Greyabbey, refused by committee, appealed by the owner. And then on Allister Avenue, it was refused by committee and appealed by the owner. Okay. And date of next meeting, March 10th. Can I have a motion to adjourn? All right, I'll go with Igor.
Do I just motion to adjourn? Or I motion to adjourn?
All right, and may I have a seconder? Member
I'd second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member McKay seconds it, and we all approve it. All in favor. All right, meeting's adjourned. Good night, everyone. Thanks, everyone who joined us today for the hearing, and we'll see you next month on March 10th. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Good night.